Welcome back. This is TV 47 Prime, and as I promised, our guests are already here. We are just getting into the segment of Say What, and the topic that we planned for today is really kind of controversial, but still worth this discussion. And we are joined by a panel of amazing people, and one person could just not stop themselves from joining, and you know very well that is definitely Pastor Sue. Thank you so much for joining us, Pastor Sue.
Thank you.
Bwana Peter Ngumba.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And of course, she did not come alone. She came escorted by her bodyguard himself.
Pastor.
Karibu sana, Pastor Munene.
Thank you.
And today we are discussing something very interesting, because all of a sudden, people are really taking paternity tests. All of a sudden, men are becoming more curious and more interested to know what they are calling, or what Peter calls, the truth. And also, are women being unfairly stigmatized by this paternity conversation? Should DNA actually be tested at birth? Should that be put in the policy? These are questions that we're grappling with and questions that we're asking ourselves. And this evening, we're about to unpack all that conversation, because the panelists in the room are taking us there. My first question to all of you: who is our father?
Wow. Who is a father? I think a father is not one who is in a trouser. I want to begin by saying that. A father is not just any other man that you have in the house. Fatherhood is a place of love. It's a place of sacrifice. It's a place of forgiveness. Those three things define who is a father. One who is full of love, one who is full of sacrifice, and one who is willing to forgive. And this one, we get it very well from God himself, those attributes. Because as long as you're in this world, there are many things that will come in your way. And as a father, you are so much, people are looking upon you, light from your family, so that you can give them guidance, you can give them direction. And there are things that will keep coming your way from time to time, and you'll be tested in your leadership. And therefore, I think, to me, if you're going to be a successful father, love is paramount. It is number one. If you're going to be a successful father, forgiveness is a must. If you don't have it, it will be too difficult to parent or even be a husband. If you're going to be a successful father, sacrifice is very, very important. So you have to go out of your way most of the time, so that you can lead this team that God has given you.
You said love, you said forgiveness, you said sacrifice. Three things that does Peter Ngumba agree with?
I agree with all those things, but I have never been, this whole fatherhood thing, I've not walked it so long for me. So for me, biologically, I would say a father is someone who gave their, their sperm to someone, and the father, that whole process of fatherhood, according to me. In my little bit of knowledge of fatherhood, that's where I would place it. And also someone who takes up the responsibility, let's say when someone else decides not to, and then this person decides to come in place for the children and help them in love, security and stuff like that. Then like the whole upbringing, if someone else did refuse to take care of those kids.
So it's not entirely biological, that you can actually
you can
take on the role. What about you?
I think a father is a very important person when it comes to the family fraternity, in the sense that the man is a symbol of love. Remember, man is told by God to love a woman. And when a woman is loved, then it is very easy for her to respect and honor the husband. And so when we talk about, when God talks about a father, he's actually giving the man the responsibility and the authority to exercise who he is, to the man, to do it to the wife, to the children, and everybody who is around you. When we talk about a father, I see a man like someone who goes out of his way, not only for himself, the nuclear family, but also outside to father other children, because you can be a mentor to other people who are not your biological children. A father is that person who can be able to have his own biological children, if he is able, unless the man has a medical condition that is not able to have children, but can also father his own biological children, and if he is able, or even be in a place whereby he can also take care of the another woman's children who are not his, and play the role of a father, so that these children, they know that there is also a father, though he is not the biological father, and it depends from one person to another. There are people who have that grace of even being fathers to children whom they have not, they are not biological theirs, and there are people who don't have that. I found couples who are not able to get children, and when you tell them about adopting, they tell you no, they don't have the grace to raise another child who is not theirs. And I think we need to respect that, because we are not all the same. However, they also had other people who feel they have no problem even adopting a child who is not theirs and bringing them and giving them that fatherly love and guidance and protection. And so it depends from where someone is coming from. I would want to say that when we talk about men, when women are told to respect and honor a father, we are not talking about the gender. We are talking about the woman is told to respect and submit to the authority and the responsibility that God has put in a man. Because a man has a bigger responsibility from my own perspective than a woman, in the sense that he's the one who guides, he's the one who protects, he's the one who provides in his own capacity. Providing does not mean that he has more money than the wife. That could also be, or he's just providing. He's providing protection, security, and making sure that everybody is comfortable. That's who a father is. A father is someone who can be able to guide the family or the wife into the direction that they should go. So a man is like the map. Is the map of the family, and without a father, sometimes, mostly the girls, they get lost, in the sense that girls have the affinity to love their dads, boys have the affinity to love their moms. And so a father, when a girl is brought up without a father, and I've seen that in my counseling section, you find that these girls are very bitter with men. But a girl who grew up with a father who was there to love her, give her attention, love, affirmation, these girls are very wonderful wives, because when they marry, they want to give back the love they received from their dads. And so a father is someone who is just not a man in trouser and a man with the private parts, the private parts that makes a man, makorodani, and also the other gun, shot, the joystick. But it's more of the responsibility and the authority that God has put in him. And so there's nobody so powerful equally like a man, like a father. Okay,
you've really described him as a father, almost in comparison to God, and that's a very huge responsibility, because God is a creator as well.
Wow.
And there has been conversations that people feel like there's so many men or so many fathers who are taking care of children that are not biologically theirs. So there's not been any substantial or credible evidence to that showing, but conversations, people tend to think that there's a lot of men. Is that true? And have we experienced this? I know, Peter, you've spoken about this before very boldly because of your personal experience. Maybe just take us through your experience and tell us what that made you feel.
My whole scope of work is I do medical tests, and some of those tests that I do is DNA. So I'm able to tell, I'm now not the stories. Now I have real data. I can be able to tell that, like one time I did, let's say, a whole 14 set of people, different people from this country. I do DNAs across the country. And out of 14, 4 out of those were excluded from being the biological father. So imagine a size of 4 men excluded in 10. So if you escalate that number, let's say multiply by 10, that is 140. 40 people right there are excluded from being their biological father.
But wait a minute, before you even take it very further, it's 14 people and only 4 were excluded.
Yeah, so 10 are biological.
So that's less than 50%, right?
Yeah.
Between 33 to around 40-something percent.
Yeah.
And these people that have already shown suspicion. So it means it's people who, it's like when you go to outside of a bar and people are coming out of the bar and you test if they are drunk, majority of them are going to be drunk. But my question to you is,
wonderful.
Have we any data on a random sample of people just picked from anywhere to tell us that there is a crisis when it comes to parenting?
If four, it's supposed to be the full 14 of them. Those women told
that's an ideal situation.
No, that's not an ideal situation. Those women told those men, you are the father. Those are people who just suspected. You see, the reason you are suspecting is because you have seen some shady things. So if the woman hides all that thing, because I hear that they say that women are able to cheat way more secretively than men. So if those women are able to hide that whole scenario perfectly, those guys will never know. So these women must have done something that have maybe made these men be like, I need to test these guys. And also, something else that have made these men come test is because I'm speaking about it. If I wasn't speaking about it, they wouldn't come. So there's bigger number out there. I believe there's bigger numbers out there. It's just that some people are maybe scared of the outcome of that report, or some people don't even have information that, because if you're not on social media, probably you have not heard about me. I'm talking about DNA. So how watu wengine wako huko mashinani? And I hear in Kikuyu land they used to say that mtu akidungilishia nini hapo kwa nyumba yako, he can be able to sire children with you. I believe, and I totally believe 100%, if we did the whole size of like 53 million people in this country, some people are going to have blood pressure and other conditions because of...
And that brings me to the question, Pastor. Should we do this? Is the truth necessary at this point?
Well, I would say yes and no, because it's a very delicate balance and slippery grounds to venture into. And by the end of the day, one should be able to ask themselves, what is the motive? Where are we heading to? Then number two, if maybe we get to know this is the way things are, the results are maybe not in our favor. In this case, who suffers most? Is it the man, the woman, or the children? In this case, the children are innocent. They have a good mommy here, they have a good daddy here, and they have already fallen in love with their parents. And so for them, they know these are our parents. And one of the hardest thing to do in a man to do, it is when you have loved, children, and you call them maybe your own children, and then you discover something that probably you never thought one day you'll be at that particular point. And so for me, I think even as you think whether you should do it or not do it, there should be wisdom here to be able to, as much as you can, you make sure as a father or as a man figure, you have offered stability and protection to these children, especially because they are innocent. By the end of the day, there's a bond that was created. There is something that already was existing. And now for them now to reverse the whole thing can become very, very tricky. So I think I would say that probably the greatest losers here might be the children who are very innocent in this case.
What do you think, Pastor Sue? What do you think children feel in these circumstances?
Wow.
And I think it's also different dynamics, because there are those children who are babies, who are left at that stage, and then there are children who are left when they're maybe 5 to 10 years old. They are a bit cognizant of what is happening.
Yes.
And then there are those who are left when they're teenagers. So does it change the feelings that go through a child? Do they change with the age? And what can be done? What should the parents be considering? Because these are mistakes of adults that are interfering with the development of a child.
I think I want to say that when it comes to, let me call it cheating, in the sense that the father thinks that these children are his, but the mother knows that these children don't belong to this man.
But what if the mother doesn't know? Because that's a possibility.
It's also a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Yeah,
to
it's
not
a possibility.
know who the father is.
It's very true, because if you have multiple partners, you might not know who gave you the pregnancy. However, how I look at it, I look like the same consequences when a divorce happens. The people who suffer most are not the woman and the man. The people who suffer most are actually the children. And so the same consequences that happens when divorce happens in a family, that the children are traumatized, children feel disconnected, and they become even bitter with themselves, and they wonder, why had mommy to do this? Because most of the times we say that you're very sure about your mom, but you're not sure whether this is your dad. That slogan has been there. And so it has a lot of psychological effect to the children, in the sense that they feel betrayed, they feel unloved, and that can also affect them in the relationships to come. Because as we have said here, that these children are innocent, and they have found themselves in a situation that they don't know who to blame. They don't know where to, they can blame the mother, but they also feel they have already bonded with this father.
Exactly.
And so there's that psychological torture to these children, and it can affect their academics, it can affect their connections even in the future with other opposite sex. It can also give them fear. They feel like if what mommy did, also if they are boys, they will feel like all women are like my mom.
Oh my God, just hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going for a short commercial break.
Yes.
And we have feedback from some of you who are watching us, and you're sending your comments on WhatsApp. So make sure that you keep those comments coming. Before we go on this break, I just want to read something here that has been sent. Need your help, mami. Mimi nalea mtoi wa my husband, but hana shukrani kabisa. Hata wazazi wa my husband hawana asante kwa kazi nafanya, ambapo huyu mtoi walinificha vile nilioleka hapo kwa hawakuniambia vile tena walimwendea, hawakuniambia, but saizi mimi nashughulikia huyu mtoi. So let's think of these conversations as we take this short break. We'll be right back. Keep those comments coming. Thank you so much.
Nchi ambayo kila siku huanza kwa mapambano, vita vingine utashinda kwa kujituma. Ukizidi kujituma, zingatia pia opponent. Usicheze chini. Mozart inasupport talent kutoka mtaani hadi viwanjani. Wachezaji na community pia lazima wa hydrate. Maji safi ni game changer mtaani. Usicheze chini. Mozart.
Do you know what's inside that prepackaged food? Those unhealthy ultra-processed foods high in sugar, salt or unhealthy fats can lead to diseases.
According to the Ministry of Health, approximately 39% of all deaths in Kenya are as a result of non-communicable diseases such as obesity, diabetes, cancer, and high blood pressure. The foods and drinks we consume every day can affect our health more than we realize.
Clear information on packages about what's in our food can help us have a healthy diet. From the Food Policy Coalition Kenya.
Face the future with confidence by acquiring additional skills that will make you competitive in the job market. Enhance your skills by undertaking professional short courses at Mount Kenya University's Center for Professional Development. These programs include Certified Human Resource Professional, Certified Public Accounts, Certified Associate in Project Management, Certified Procurement and Supply Professional, Certified Forensic Fraud Examiner, Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, Cisco Networking, Cloud and Cybersecurity Solutions, Certified Investment and Financial Analyst. Application is through admission.mku.ac.ke or reach us on 0709 153 195 or 0709 153 194. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Morning routines, daily hustle. But there's always time for the game. Some go by instinct. Others run the numbers. Some live for the thrill. Some play chill. No matter who you are or how you play, only emotions count. This is your moment, your move, your success formula. Bets for everyone. Reveal yourself. 1xBet.
Thank you so much. It's getting heated up in here. Someone sent a message here. Dami Keen, he says, fantastic definition of a father. Sacrifice, forgiveness, and responsibility entails it all. And they go on to say, our Tuatwa mom is complicating things up. But yes, I think before we went on a break, we read a message by Laura Moja, and she gave us a scenario of how she has been married to this family, and she's then all of a sudden ameletewa mtoto na amekuwa kimlea na hakuwa anajua kuna mtoto before, so there's deception there. How is she supposed to navigate this scenario?
I think there's something you're saying, yeah.
Wow, it's very painful, and that's why it's very important before people marry to have that total disclosure, in the sense that you go, like for example, in our church we have that premarital counseling where we have a pastor who takes the people who are marrying to have a session where they have total disclosure. If there's something that you feel it's very important for your partner to know, for example, issues about children. If you had a child who died, maybe you are married, those things that cannot be hidden, it's very important to tell this person so that he can know, make a decision. Does he want to continue with you or not? So total disclosure is very important, especially to matters concerning a child who is already born. Huwezi huwa mtoto ambaye is born. You cannot kill a child who is born. But I've had women who have also killed their children because they wanted to hide from the man. I think this issue of hiding is because of the background that we have come from, in the sense that a woman feels like if I tell a man that I have another child, he will perceive me like a loose woman, a prostitute, a woman who had, who didn't have self-discipline or self-control on sexual matters. And so women hate that kuitwa malaya, let me say that, because most of the people are painted as malaya if you have a child out of wedlock, but there are people who are raped. It's good to understand that there are girls who really wanted to get into marriage, even when they are virgins, but something happened and they were raped and got these children, and probably they said they are not going to abort. So I think the best thing is to handle every person as an individual from where they are coming from, so that now you can heal them from their past traumas. But it's important to be open from the beginning. Tell me the truth so that you better not hide. Then the person discovers later. I would prefer, let me tell you the truth, then know how to handle that truth. Then if you feel you can't go along with me because of my past, then I will still get a man who can be able to handle that which I have. I think the best thing is just be vulnerable, speak out, but not the man discovering or the woman discovering that you had children and you never told her, like what that woman is saying, in the sense that she discovered that the husband has other children and she never told her. I think that woman feels bitter, betrayed, trust is gone. And when trust is gone, to rebuild it, it's very hard. So it's important some of these things to be ironed even before we say I do.
But what goes, I love that we need to discuss it before.
Yes.
And Laura here, and that's not her real name, by the way, full disclosure. We are protecting her identity. This is a very sensitive conversation.
Yes.
But I'd like to know from the guy's perspective, from the men's perspective, what goes on through your mind when you make that decision of you've married someone, alafu unamletea watoto, na uko umemwambia kuna watoto. Take us through that thought process.
For me, I've never done that. So, but for me, I'm still echoing her words and saying total disclosure. It's important that you disclose to someone. I had children before, right? I feel like that is the fundamental truth here. Even you see that total disclosure. Bring it to the marriage part. If we do that DNA when you're also starting marriage, we're going to get ourselves into this marriage, and when the child is born, we are going to do that DNA then. Total disclosure. She's going to feel betrayed because someone has she was not aware, and then they have brought the child to her, and now she has to take responsibility for this child, and that child has their mother as well, unless the mother has died. And I'm sure she has not been told about that information. So total disclosure is I have a child out of wedlock. The mother has given me maybe the mother has said she doesn't want to take care of the child. Now I've taken that responsibility for myself to take care of that child. So for me, total disclosure, every step. I had a child before. I tell you, if you feel like it's okay to continue with this marriage that I had other children, it's really on your decisions to make. will I continue or will I not continue? But for me, I agree. Total disclosure is very important so that people don't get hurt and things don't move forward very, very well.
For me, I think I can also end up and say it is long to get into marriage and then later on after a month or after some time, you are now telling this lady that, by the way, I had 1 or 2 kids and they are with my mother or my grandmother in the village, and I thought it's important for you to know. Number one, you don't look genuine.
Wow.
When you do that, and authentic. And already you have built your relationship on mistrust.
Wow.
And anything else now you do after that, it will be questioned. And for me, just like Peter is saying and Sue is saying here, from the word go, speak the truth. The good book says, you shall know the truth.
And the truth shall set you
And
free.
the truth will set you free. And let me say this, Wakeo. Ladies have no problem when you tell them things the way they are. In fact, for us men, we've got more messes in one way or the other.
Yeah.
When you disclose to a woman, to a lady that loves you, the whole truth about your life, whatever is there, she will take it. The problem is when you try to hide some things and then she discovers by herself later on. Now, to trust you, it will become very, very difficult.
Kuna mtu hapa amekataa. Amesema it is not about disclosure. The situation has already happened. Tell them to say what she needs to do. What does this woman need to do now that it's already happened? Because it's already, there's no disclosure now. The child has been brought. Now you are raising this child. How can you navigate that situation?
Wow.
You're already there.
I think number one is what I would say is don't stay in denial. When now you know the truth, don't stay in denial, because the more you stay in denial, the more you get angry with this person who has actually betrayed you and not given you the truth. So the first thing, don't deny. Accept the truth. You're going to bargain, why this, why did you not tell me? That's part of the process. Then after that, accept the truth. And because, as we have said, the children are innocent, then do what you can do to this child. Don't mistreat the child. I've had women or men, when they get children who are not theirs, they mistreat them, beat them, call them names. Mwambia mama yako ni malaya, babako alikuwa. No, you don't do that to a child, because the child doesn't know those things that you're talking about. So the best thing is to accept, do what you can, and move on. Because already the mess has been done, as we have said. So if you keep on going around, you are just frustrating yourself, and this can also give you a lot of resentment, give you a lot of bitterness, and at the end of the day, you can find yourself now emptying that bitterness to this innocent child, because you have not accepted this child from where this child is coming from. And the child has no mistake. It's the father who didn't talk or the mother didn't say. So I find, just accept and move on.
Yeah,
yes.
and moving
give
on
your
doesn't
best.
necessarily mean staying in that marriage.
You can even move
because,
on.
Yeah,
you can even cut off the relationship,
cut off the
and go
relationship
to where you feel
and
you are
go somewhere
comfortable.
else.
Thank you.
Another thing that is also important,
Yes.
probably to add to that, if you feel that it is becoming too weighty, too much on you, go for therapy.
Wow.
It's very, very important.
Wow.
That's why you have people like Pastor Sue and so many other people whom you can sit down with them and tell them, this is exactly what I have found. And they'll be able to guide you, to take you through.
Wow.
And by the end of the day, what you may feel like it was a very heavy, a burden over your life, just talking to somebody, it will just get out of your way. So it's important to seek somebody else's opinion on what they think about that matter.
Wow, and I think here's an answer for you, Jacob, as well, from YouTube. And you say, how do you take care of erroneous baby switches at birth in our hospitals? A definite mismatch in DNA. You've had those cases? Have you had any of those cases?
There are those cases, we agree, where babies are switched off, but they're quite very rare. In our system right now, the person, from the point the mother came into the hospital, the first person she's the first nurse she was able to meet that point. If that child is able, there's a problem of switching, and then there's a problem where the children were stolen. So unless now we are able to do the DNA, there could be that problem, but it's very rare because I'm saying when the mother comes to the hospital, she finds a nurse, we can be able to trickle back and tell. We have documentation around when she came, who attended to her, how she gave birth, how is the child going along, and who even was able to discharge her after maybe 3 days. So switching of children in this country, I'm not saying it can be done, but it's on the lower side. I can say that children are switched in this country. There are very well guidelines of you can be able to pinpoint huyu mzazi alikuja hivi akajifungua hivi akatoka hivi, who attended to her and such kind of things. Switching of children doesn't happen in this country. I don't think so.
And let's go back to, we had those twins that were switched some time back. But let's go back to something that Pastor mentioned about the person who suffers the most. And that is the child. Fahali wawili wakipigana, nyasi ndio wanaumia. And Peter, just take us through your personal story, because you've been public with your story on how you discovered that your 5-year-old and the 2-year-old are not your children.
Yeah.
What went through your mind the minute you found out?
I had a 5-year-old and I had a 2-year-old. I did not suspect they were not mine. As a matter of fact, the 5-year-old was so thin like me, I thought, this must be my gene automatically. And then the mother tells you, he looks like you, such kind of stuff. I was not suspecting. The reason I did is I do DNA, so why don't I do for myself? That is the thing that came into my mind. Nafanyia watu wengine, mbona mimi nisijifanyie? So when I did the first one, I went to Kisumu, collected the sample. I didn't tell the mother because it becomes very dramatic when you tell her, then she starts saying, you don't trust me, stuff like that. I do not want drama. So I went there, I collected the sample. I was given, I just created a scenario where I said I want to bond with the child. So I was given a child, I collected the sample without...
You stole the sample.
No, I did not. I have equal rights to the child, okay?
Yes.
I'm not stealing anything. I have equal rights to handle this child as mine. So I took the sample, I came to Nairobi, we tested the report, the swabs. At around 12, nilikuwa enda Kasarani kuchukua the samples. The results come out that I am not the father. First of all, it is a shock on you. You're like, really? After 5 years, this is what happens? I was so angry at that point. I was like, sijaipanda ndege. I want to go back and collect another sample. We confirm that I am not the father to this guy for 5 years. My friend tells me, calm down, let's internalize this thing, twende weekend. So we pick up a car, we go back again. We also don't tell the mother that we're here to do DNA. But this time I realized a few things. The nails don't look like me at all. The hair is gakarako for those people who know what that is. It doesn't look like me. So I'm like, Ebu pick this. I tell my friend to pick the sample for both of us. This way I'm the one who made the mess. Later on, we come to Nairobi. I give other people, not me. I didn't do the test this time around. I gave other people. I incurred costs for the DNA. And the result comes out that I am not the father. For me, that's the 5-year-old. The second year, the 2-year-old, her birthday is coming up. Her mother now sees that I'm doing DNA, and she's like, I tell her I am going to do the DNA, and she tells me, hata mimi ninataka kujua. I think she kaingia uoga akasema hata mimi ninataka kujua. So on the second birthday, I buy flowers and I go to the birthday, buy a cake as well. I go, I pick the sample. A few days later, she is also excluded from being, I am excluded from being the biological father. So as a scientist, the first thing that comes into your mind is that mimi niko na mbegu kweli. So the third thing now that I do here is I check my sperms, and my sperms are quite okay. So the reason why this thing does not affect me as much as I've seen it affect other people, I was not married to these people. I wasn't staying with these kids on a 24-hour thing. I just nilikuwa naona from time to time. So that is the only thing that helped me not to get into depression and stuff like that. Because previously to that, I had done DNAs for other people, and I was helping them cope this whole situation. So the only reason I didn't go haywire or something is because I wasn't staying with them. I had seen other people get themselves I've given them report and I see how it trickles down to affect them. Someone who was doing very well now, he's a drunkard or something. His work now. See, you lack purpose. I feel like when you give you this report and you have invested, the kid is 14 years, the kid is 20 years. You're like, I have worked my whole life for these kids, and all of a sudden it's crashing down on you. You feel like you have wasted your entire life. And also something else that hits you is that imagine waking up every day with this woman. Mtu ana kupea chakula chai asubuhi na chakula jioni. You wake up in the same, and they know that you are not the father, and they're still mimi kwangu, it shocks me that someone can stay with you with that lie that long, na bado they act normal. Ati, I love you, man. Women, please do better.
Women have been asked to do better.
Oh my goodness.
But there are scenarios and situations that some people find themselves, like when people get separated, for instance, and they're having a relationship, alafu wakosane kidogo, alafu unajipata umesike consolation somewhere else kidogo kumbe kameingia. But huyu mtu ulikuwa unapenda ni yule mlikuwa mmekosana naye.
Yes.
Na mkarudiana na timings pia zikaingiana, zikaconfusiana, you don't know what is what. Na ukaendelea kuendelea. 30 years down the line, kitu kama hiyo inatokea. And you guys have had such a beautiful marriage in those 30 years, raising a child who is not biologically his, but who is now his, when we use other definitions, although kuna mtu hapa ametuambia msitumie hizo definitions zingine, it's just propagating immorality. But I would say, like, what goes on to the father who has actually created that bond over several years with this child? Is the truth really worth it?
Wow. That's quite heavy, quite deep, because that is the truth of the matter. The results are very clear that this is not my son, this is not my daughter. But then, to this child, she can't comprehend that. He can't take that. And while to me, as the father in quotes, of course, is the pain, the denial,
the betrayal.
The betrayal.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to balance all these things. Which do I take and which do I leave? And I know for my friend here, Peter, that is not easy. When you had given your best to this person, and then you come to discover, oh, you mean you are nowhere in the picture.
Yeah. Betrayed. You're being used. You're being used. Your money, your love, everything.
Yes.
I used to give those people my 5,000 out of my 30,000. Kijana mdogo akitoa 5,000 ndio uwapatie for all those 5 years, and then they tell you are not, and then they're not remorseful. That woman didn't even call me akuniambia ati, I am sorry, anga what. They don't call. So for me, I'm like, hurt? They know.
When did it hurt, and how did it hurt for you, and how are you healing? Because clearly it hurt.
Yeah, it hurts very much. And the point that it hurts the most is that even after me sending those reports, she doesn't, it is courteous for someone to tell you, I am sorry, I didn't mean it, and I didn't know. You see, but now when you don't even say it, yani uko na kiburi to that extent that you knew, and then you do not apologize. If you were genuine that you didn't know, what is the best thing to do? If I step Kubwa hapa right now, I'm supposed to tell him, I am sorry, I didn't mean it. But someone who intended to, atakukanyaga, na ukimuuliza hata anaweza kuweka kofi. So me, the point that it hurt most is that for 5 years, and then these women are very bitter. Mtu anakuitisha pesa na kiburi, and you provide without fail. Alafu mtu akuje hapo, ushagundua you are not the father, they don't even apologize. For me, that's why they call me the home wrecker. I know Pastor Joel, they are the marriage counselors,
yes.
But me, I'm the one who sambaratisha all of them. I will catch you, and when I catch you, I will stamp that report. he is excluded from being the biological father. And many men don't stay. Hakuna mambo ya kukaa, they just leave. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's 10, 15 years I have handled up to 20. The marriage clashes at that point. And there's a good thing about men. I don't think men hata wakirudi soko itakuwa ngumu kwao to get this whole thing going. You will still hurt, but you can see we also provide a psychologist in that whole process. But for men, you can still go, and that's why I'm saying usingoje ifike huko ati imeenda miaka mingi, kakizaliwe tu hivi before watoke hospitali. Fanya hiyo siku ujue kama wanaenda kwao ama wanaenda kwao.
Lakini ukifanya that very day, what does it say? It says that you already have doubt in this relationship.
Don't put stories of doubt hapa.
Ni story ya nini basi?
We just want to know the truth. Okay? We just usikuja kuleta ati tunaleta doubt hapa. We are not doubting you. I just want to know these children are mine. If they are mine, why do you think I'm doubting? Why do you have why is it hard for you to accept for me to do the DNA? If they are mine, unaogopa nini?
Labda haogopi, but wewe kusema let's do a test already implies that you are not certain about it. So you can't deny that there's a position there of doubt. But hata hivyo kuna mtu hapa ametuambia, our friend here called Manu, he says, are you sure you are biological son to your father? Na amesema no need of doing DNA, we are all human beings, tulee watoto bwana. Pia wewe hujui, maybe uliletwa na mama yako.
Mimi kwangu ninajua nilikuja na mama yangu. Mimi najua nilikuja na mama yangu. But I will not at whatsoever allow any other man to take responsibility. Huyo mtoto ako na baba yake, mpelekeni kwa baba yake.
So we talked about a man who, and you said yourself that it was easier for you because you'd not created that bond with this child. And we're talking about someone who's created that bond. Because the effect is not just on that child. Pia huyu mzee ambaye amelea mtoto kwa muda mrefu, amependa huyu mtu kwa muda mrefu. Hiyo ni automatic anafaa kucut, because I remember hearing you from an interview saying that you cut that tie immediately.
Completely.
Is it possible? Do you need time? Do you have to cut that tie? Can you continue being a present father to this child even when you know that you're not the biological father? What are the odds and what are the options that these people might have?
Wow, I just want to say this. What Peter has said is very true, and I love him for being genuine, because when someone feels, even when women feel, even not even go to children, just knowing that your husband had sex with another woman, it is enough to put you off completely. And you know what I'm talking about. Women know that. Even some women from there, no orgasm. Because you keep imagining this thing entered another woman, then it's coming to me. There's a lot of emotional disconnection and bitterness and betrayal that you feel because trust has gone. However, I would say what Peter has said, that if you are that type that wants to do the DNA immediately after the child is born, well and good, because that is your choice. However, there are these men now who later, like after 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, they want to do DNA. And then you discover these children are not yours. I would say, and I would advise, it is important for you to do it slowly but surely. Don't just abruptly cut. Otherwise, it can cause the death of these children. They might get into depression and even commit suicide, because they had developed that bond and that connection emotionally, physically, and the father was there. So it's like the way an aeroplane that does not just drop to the runway immediately. It keeps on going down, and you are told we are about to land. So you keep on landing until you disconnect. I think for the sake of the children, the woman, you can do away with her immediately because you have discovered. But for the sake of these children to be psychologically, mentally okay, I would advise this man who has discovered, do it slowly but surely. You keep dropping until you're able to leave those children not emotionally wounded, because that does not profit you. Remember, what you sow, you will reap. You might find even in the other family, something like that repeating itself, because you're not sure who you are marrying. You could also marry another worse woman. So I would say for the man, he needs to be so sober to take care of these children, the psychological, the spiritual, and the physical landing, until now you disconnect. So don't do it just don't cut immediately like the way you cut it with your wife. Please move slowly, slowly, slowly. And these children now, they are wondering what is happening. You tell them I'm busy, I'm not available, you know, that way. And then they will go to the mothers. And we are calling that these days and it's not. You can help them where you feel like, but these children, you need to give them a low landing. Don't cut it immediately. It's to avoid that emotional brokenness.
But Peter said women need to do better. I think just adults need to do better.
Yes.
Adults need to do better. You cannot put children going through this. But what happens? You've already explained to us what happens when men find out that they have been excluded from being parents, and the marriages break and relationships are torn apart. What happens to relationships when you've expressed that suspicion? You've gone for the test, and then you are included. You are the father to this child. What happens in those scenarios? What happens to those relationships after that?
That's why I advise men, you have the right to do the DNA without your wife knowing. Fanya hivyo kwanza.
Chini ya maji kwanza.
Fanya chini ya maji. Trust but verify. Because if you come to tell her that you're doing DNA, she's going to put injunctions hapa na pale kusema you don't trust me. And such that now when the results comes out and you are included as the biological father, now she's going to start use blackmail. And she starts saying, you see, you didn't trust me. She blackmails you.
But that's not blackmail. It's the truth.
It is. You see the way you say that you don't trust, it's gonna bring issues of you don't trust me. It's the same way. If she knows you're the father, she is gonna blackmail you into this whole scenario. So the best way to do as a man, chukua mtoto, sema unaenda naye pahali huko nje, nobody is gonna arrest you for doing a DNA for your child, and especially when you do when they are young, wakati hawajui. We don't want to come huko, and I have seen when men know that they're excluded from being the biological father, they are so angry, and I usually tell them, hii report yako imesema you are excluded. Tafadhali, if you have anger problems, enda kwa mama yako, mpe hiyo story, she calms you down. Because if you go home, and then you see the person who you've been living with for like 10 years and you're not their father, you might have issues and you might do things that you might regret. So mimi ninaambia jamaa, pole pole, chini ya maji, chukua mtoto, peleka pahali, just swap them around. Give them some gifts around, they're going to forget. Do that DNA. Ukisha confirm watoto ni wako, come back, your story unakanyangia, life goes on. And then there's a place, Madam here said, you drop those things when you're doing the DNA, ufanye pole pole. Now the reason why it comes to tuseme mtoto wako 15 years there, let's say you are building up a trust, and then the lawyer suggests that you do DNA so that people you are putting in the trust are now your biological children. Now ukifanya way later hapo, now revealing these things to these children is going to be very hurtful. But wakiwa wadogo, hata hawajui baba yao alikuwa nani, na it will not affect them. But it still remains wako na baba yao. So when they are young, mama yao ataenda atafute baba yao awache huko. But kuifanya when it's ati miaka imeenda sana, that one it's gonna damage you and the children.
Bill Owen hapa from WhatsApp amesema kitu yenye a family is a core political and social unit. But DNA is a proof of immortality. I think he meant immorality. And to some extent, failed parenting. Men married to very religious women should do the DNA from this Monday. Why?
Very religious women.
Yes, but why? Ebu, explain. We are waiting for your response. Why do you think that men who are married to very religious women need to do DNA from this Monday? Let's carry on with this conversation.
Because of the pretense.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of pretense.
There's a lot of hypocrisy as well in the church. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is true.
As people who are actually leading a flock in church,
it is very
that
true.
you have a congregation that you're leading. What would you say of such comments?
I think today, whether you're in the church or out of the church, there's a lot of camouflaging, there's a lot of pretense that is, with the people all over. And just because you are called Mary or John does not mean that you are okay, or you can be trusted. And people have known how to hide these days, even right in the church. Regardless of you can even be right in front, like a pastor, and you are leading people, but again, the things that you are doing. So I would say that it is important to really check things keenly. Number two, don't rush. One of the things that I tell people is that when people fall into love, sometimes they become bride. But I tell people, please don't be bride. Open your ears, open your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have a mind, you have eyes. Question, look at things keenly. Don't just walk into it just because somebody tells you that they love you and they want to be with you. So for me, I think it is important to question things, to look at things critically, and even if one is in the church, follow the right process.
This is a very heavy conversation.
It's
I
a
don't
heavy
think we can finish it
conversation.
in one
It's very
sitting.
true.
Yeah.
We encourage our viewers to be commenting throughout the week on WhatsApp. We'll be sharing these messages with our experts so that we can have feedback for you as well. But just to wind up, because time is definitely not on our side, what are your thoughts on having a policy that makes it mandatory for us to have DNA tests at birth? Just a quick one from all of you as we wrap up.
It depends with the people concerned. If you are comfortable, go ahead and do it.
No, we're talking about a policy here.
Yes.
Would we recommend that the government has a policy that ensures that it is mandatory to have a DNA test at birth?
I don't think so.
Yeah, for me, we are going to have that policy, and I'm going to be on the forefront kuchukua signatures across this country. We should see, before a father is put on the birth certificate, tunaweka birth certificate tukijua Peter Gomba, you are the father, tunakuweka hapa. Yes, so policy, law, tunaiweka. Mimi kwangu tunaiweka.
Wow, I would also say it is important if that is done quite early, so that now the man can take responsibility. I think that's what happens to other countries like US, UK, such that before, if you give a woman a child and the DNA proves that you are the father, then you have to take care of that child. Even your salary can even be cut, so that you can support this child. I think to avoid all these things, for the men feeling like they are betrayed, they are cheated by the women, because at the end of the day, we are just talking about infidelity. Because it means that I'm not faithful to Pastor Munene. I have other guys that who come in and enter the same place where he goes in. So I would say if it can be done earlier, so that things are sorted early, the better. The trauma is not much. But when children are fully grown, oh my goodness, kama wale wangu ati wajua they are not, this is not their father, I think that can really wreck them, emotionally, psychologically, because of the bond they have created for so many years, decades and decades. So I think the earlier the better, and I would also advocate for that, because we need also to be truthful. Truth will always set us free, and we are wired for truth, so let the truth be known. And when you find somebody not really wanting it to be done, then it means there's something there's something you're hiding. Because if I'm speaking the truth, and I've told Pastor Munene that before you married me I had 3 children, if he wants to marry me with them, well and good. If he doesn't want to marry me, wacha kukaa hivyo. Oh yes.
Thank you so much. That has just brought us to the end of this discussion. It has been TV 47 Prime. I think science can determine in minutes the paternity of a child. But then again, the big question is, what makes a father a real father? And I think we can continue that conversation on WhatsApp. My name is Wakio Mzenge. Our sign language interpreter was Rhoda Nyamai. And as usual, we say good night.